What is up, everybody, and welcome to another Webinar Wednesday. So it's Brian and Ronnie from the Simple Team, Simple Wholesaling, Simple Quarter, Simple REI, just the Simple brand. So coming at you live today, and excited to kind of talk about this. Before we get into this, actually, before we get into the topic, sorry, Ronnie, how you doing, man?
It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. It is. It's a beautiful day. It's nice and kind of cool, not all oppressively hot, but the deals are still hot in August, so it feels really good. I'm good.
There we go. There we go. And the deal's in the follow-up too, right? As we just we've been discussing that. So that's another topic. We will definitely maybe that's our topic next week, right there, Ronnie. But so what we kind of wanted to get into today is just a little bit about basically what is wholesaling, how do you wholesale, what do you do? So this basically all revolves around. I just met with a group of friends the other day. Haven't seen them in a couple of years and stuff, and they were basically just like, hey, Brian, we watch your videos. We see what you guys are doing. Like, but what do you do? What, like, they couldn't understand it. And I get that question all the time. And it's kind of funny. I even relate it back to, so I moved out here to Indianapolis 6 years ago, and Brett Snodgrass was one of the first people I met. And I knew Brett for 3 years before I came to work for him or anything like that. And, we were friends. We were, pretty good friends. We would go out and have a beer and watch a game, talk sports, hang out. We, do some stuff like that. Our families knew each other and things. But, the whole time I never knew what he did. It was kind of like the running joke within our friends group of just basically like, hey, what does Brett do? I think he flips houses. He does something in real estate. We didn't know. It's the same thing of like my friends, like they have an idea and they kind of, they watch my videos and things like that. But all in all, they don't really know what we do. And Ronnie and I were having that conversation too the other day of just kind of saying like, hey, like how often do you get asked this question and those types of things? And he's like, yeah, I do. So that's really what we want to talk about today is like, what is real estate wholesaling? And, how do you real estate that? And what do you do and how do we do that and things? And I know, Ronnie, you just kind of shared with me a story this morning about that's that same conversation what we just had. If you want to go ahead and share that again, man.
Yeah, no, man. There's a guy. He lives out in Iowa, and we've kind of connected through church as well. And he was just like, man, Ron. He said, I know you have 6 kids, and I have 6 kids. He said, but the way that I have 6 kids and the way that you have 6 kids looks a little bit different. Like, what exactly is going on, and what are you doing? And so, I took some time out and just talked with him and told him, my story, about how I didn't know anything. About real estate investing. I just used to always watch HGTV and I liked it. And wanted to figure out, how can I get into real estate because my ends were not meeting at all. And what could I do in order to make some changes? And how I told them, hey, I downloaded the Meetup app and I got in a room with people that knew more than me. And I just tried to figure out and find my fit and find my place. Not having a degree, but knowing I had the skill set to talk with people and wanted to connect with people and help people, which has always been my passion. But been able to do that, in a social services background and helping youth. I said, I want to do something that can actually, put this gift in a different context. And, putting it in a real estate investing context, talking with motivated sellers, listening to them. It has definitely changed the perspective of my life, what my children do, my options that I have, and my peace of mind. It's still stressful sometimes. That hasn't changed. But, it's just nice to be able to have, different options, in talking. So I was able to encourage them like, hey, give us some people that's doing it. And, it's been working out.
So I still, I remember that first meetup that you came to and stuff like that. I'm pretty sure you dressed up. You wore a bow tie and stuff.
Oh, yes, I did. Yes, I did. I was
looking good. Looking good. So, no, that's good stuff. No, and it's one of those things, like we said, of just like, kind of getting into of like, what are we really doing and how do we do it and stuff like that. So that's what we just want to talk about today. So the first thing is what is real estate wholesaling? So basically what it is, the short version of it is basically that you are finding properties, getting them under contract, and then selling that contract or your right to buy that property basically to another investor, another person that's just looking for a property in any way. So the long and short of it is you're finding properties, getting under contract, and then selling that contract to somebody else. So you're not selling the property or anything like that because you don't own it. You basically just have, when you enter into that contract with a seller, basically you have a right to do what you want with that contract. So you have the right to buy that property at that contract price, but you also have the right to sell that contract. So that's what's going on in that situation. That's what we call a signing contract, or a signing for wholesaling and things. So there's also another version where you can sell the property because you do own it. That'd be a double close. You can get that property under contract You can close on it and then literally sell it later that day. So that'd be another way to do that. Or you can do it like we do a lot of our properties. It's kind of a longer version of the double close. We like to call it the simple close because we like to just put our name into some things like that. But it's it's basically where you buy the property and then you market it to other investors, people that are looking to rent properties out, flip properties, those types of things. You're looking for other investors that are really looking for properties. So a lot of people are like, so you're kind of like a middleman. Yeah, that's really what you are. You are the connector. That's what you're doing. You are connecting, taking that property that you're finding somebody that's in some type of a distressed situation, whether it's they're in a distressed situation, their house is in a distressed situation, it's a house problem, a money problem, something. And then you're basically taking that, getting that property under contract for whatever price you agree on. And then you're taking that contract and marketing it to somebody that's looking for that type of property. So whether it is like I said, an investor of whatever they're looking for, that you're connecting with that. That's what you're doing. You're the middleman, you're the connector. That type of thing. So Ronnie, when I get into that definition of kind of what wholesaling is, you want to put any more flavor on top of that?
Yeah, so this is an analogy that I use because people watch The Shade Room, and that's an Instagram page, and it's a gossip celebrity page. And so every now and again, they run these ads that say, hey, I bought this house for $16,000 and sold it for $30,000 and they made this profit. And so there's always all these different comments and things like that trying to figure out like what exactly is it. And usually people are selling a course, but really when I see that, I said, oh no, this really is, this is real. They're just selling a course that costs you $15,000. But I'm really doing it, and you can come get some free resources from us. But I mean, yeah, I am proof of concept that the ad that you see on The Shade Room, it works. It's me. I actually really do that. I can do it at those prices. So that's just a parallel, just to kind of help some of our viewers understand exactly what we do.
Yeah. So let's kind of get into some of those things of basically, let's start with kind of so let's just take that situation that you just put out there. We're in Indianapolis. This is actually a theoretical situation. No matter what market you're in, a lot of people tune in and kind of watch some of our stuff nationwide. So if you're in the Phoenix market, your numbers are going to be different. If you're in LA, your numbers are going to be way higher than what we're talking about here. But let's just take a scenario kind of like what Ronnie said there. Let's say maybe that he gets a property under contract for $30,000 and he turns around and sells that property or that contract for $40,000 and makes a $10,000 profit. So people might be thinking like, well, who's going to sell a property for $30,000 when they can maybe sell it for $40,000? Or who's going to sell their property for $60,000 when they can maybe sell it for $100,000 or whatever like that? So Ronnie, let's take a look at that. At like who are those people? Like kind of explain who kind of we're working with, who those sellers kind of are, who that avatar is a little bit.
Yep.
So who's kind of in that situation and why it is, how we can help them.
Yep. So there are a couple of different dynamics of people that we deal with. For the most part, we are, or our ideal motivated seller is, a baby boomer, someone that, has a house, empty nest all of a sudden, and they're like, look, I just want to downsize. I don't really care about, the equity in my home. Just take this off of me because I don't need it, and let's just move it. And so I'm talking with a lot of people like that. Also, too, sometimes there are people that have experienced distress situations, dealing with everything that's going on with COVID. People have lost their jobs, lost their ability to be able to make their mortgage payments. I had a lady call me 2 weeks ago and say, hey, look, I just missed my first mortgage payment. I don't want to deal with this anymore. Can you please just take the house from me? I'll go move with my sister, because she had a money problem. And then I've talked with some other people that are like, look, this house has way too many repairs. I don't have the money for the air condition. The roof is starting leaking. My kids are experiencing water and stuff like that at night. There's electrical issues. I just don't want it anymore. Can you just take it out of, take this problem away from me, so I can move on? So those are some of the situations and people, so that we're dealing with. People or even estates, family members that have had people that have died, and they're just like, look, we don't want to go through the hassle of having to do the paints and make all these other upgrades and things like that and list with the realtor in time. I'd just rather you just do a walkthrough, make me an offer, close in 2 weeks, and we're good and we're happy. So those are primarily situations that we're dealing with. All very nice people, all very different situations, but ones that we definitely can find win-win situations with.
Yeah. Then another thing is another one, a big one that we deal with too is that landlord that basically has a property with a tenant issue. Ronnie loves those. The ones where there's some kind of a tenant issue or a squatter or something going on, where a possible eviction or whatever it may be. But basically, a landlord that's in a tough situation and needs to just sell his property. Needs to get out from underneath it because he doesn't want to go through an eviction, or it's too messy. The property needs too much work, or things like that. So that's another situation that kind of pops up. So Ronnie, I know a lot of people will kind of ask me this question and basically say like, well, is it like wholesalers they get a negative connotation, and whether you are doing it, we pride ourselves on having a great reputation, a great rapport, running a business that is, that is upstanding, has integrity. We pride ourselves on that. That's what we have built this company on, and we'll continue to do. We pray with our people. We pray with our sellers. We put them on the prayer list. We do all kinds of things like that. But still, no matter what our reputation is or how good we think we are, people view us as, you still have that connotation of like, oh, you guys are wholesalers, so there's a negative connotation with that. You're taking advantage of people. That's coming out with it. And to them, I say, hey, that's your opinion things. But I've been in the room too many times with sellers who have literally like, tears in their eyes and just like thanked us, sent us a thank you note afterwards, gave us a call afterwards, gave us an amazing review afterwards, but just reached out to us and just said, thank you so much for helping me out with this situation. So yes, there are some of these times where somebody could take a property and maybe they could, if instead of selling us $100,000 property, instead of selling it to us for $60,000 or $70,000, they can list it. They can get $100,000 out of it, and that's possible. People can do that because not every property is a wholesale deal. Not every deal is like that. But there are so many situations where things maybe just need to happen quickly, or it's a headache, or people don't have the time, the resources, the energy, the frustration level, the patience, whatever it is, to take care of these properties, and just need people to alleviate that. So, and that's what it is. I think the big parts, and we can kind of get into this a little bit too, the big parts of wholesaling really it comes down to marketing and problem solving, and just basically like relieving people of their stress, relieving people of their problems by problem solving through that. So Ronnie, and like when you talk to people, and there's a lot of people that kind of, can shine, real estate investing in a positive light and things, but just real quick, can you talk maybe a little about that, maybe that negative connotation that kind of comes along with it, but then also kind of just, that when you're getting into this business of don't let that scare you, or keep you from doing it and things like that. As long as you're doing things the right way, it's okay. I've never seen any really profession that doesn't have some kind of a negative connotation.
Exactly.
When I was a teacher, I had negative connection about just teachers in general, and you get the summers off, and like, there's always something. But let's talk a little bit about just kind of maybe that negative light that wholesalers do come about and stuff.
Honestly, I mean, I think the biggest negative, the connotation that comes with wholesalers is that just not being able to deliver. Because I mean, honestly, there are some deals that we're able to get because the wholesaler just wasn't good with their numbers and maybe overpromised, and then that set the seller up thinking one thing because, this is a sale price, but then, having to go back and keep renegotiating that brings a negative connotation that, wait, these things aren't what you told me, what we agreed to initially, you didn't follow through with, and so then that reputation, having to do that, not being right with your numbers and not being upfront and honest about what you really can deliver, definitely goes, with that negative connotation. The other thing is always trying to hit a home run on every deal. Because you just feel like you can do that, but that's what happens. With the negative connotation, really not being able to deliver. So you just want to again stay integral, to what you really can and cannot do, and that will really go a long way with helping your environment and just your reputation overall. That negative connotation,
and just being honest with stuff. If you are getting in, don't tell them that if you're not the buyer, don't tell them that you're the buyer. Don't tell the seller that you're the buyer. So I think that's the one big hang up that cause a lot of issues for yourself and other wholesalers and things like that. So just be careful with that. And, if that happens, just be honest with what's going on. You say like, I'm not the buyer. I'm the connector. I have a lot of buyers that are looking to buy properties just like this. I would love to connect your property with them. That's what I'm doing, things like that. So I usually don't use the word wholesale. That's, because it has that negative connotation and some things like that. And people don't understand it. So I use that term. I like that term of connector. That's what that's how I like to categorize it as and stuff. So Ronnie, let's kind of get into a little bit of we kind of talked about the people. Let's talk about the property. So I've mentioned, before, of like not every property or not every deal is a good wholesale deal. So if there's something that, and you have this conversation every day, and we go back and forth as we're analyzing deals of like, hey, this person's in a tough spot. They're ready to, they need to sell their property quickly. They go through this, but I look at it and be like, we're not going to be able to give them the price that they need. They should list it. I know they probably don't want to pay commission. But they're going to be, they put out this price, they're going to be able to sell it within a month. There's type of things too. So let's talk about the type of property that is a good property that wholesalers can go out there and try to negotiate, try to talk to the motivated sellers, the ones that they should be targeting, the ones that they should be marketing to. So what types of properties do they look like that are good wholesale deals?
Definitely want to look at ones that have tax lien on them, because if you're able, because again, that's public information. So if, they're behind on their taxes, what is that a tea leave of? There's a money problem, so if there's a money problem, then that's somebody that you want to talk to. If you're out and you're driving for dollars, one of my things I love doing, I love going through the little cookie cutter neighborhoods. Trying to figure out which one has the super high grass or which one has the overgrown bushes. That is somebody that you want to talk to, because now that one's from the outside looks like, hey, the HOA is probably calling them because, they can't take care of the house. So that's probably a house problem. Those are properties that you want to look at, especially anything that's vacant. If you're looking to kind of busted out windows and things like that, where there's any signs of distress, that's somebody that you want to look to, talk to the next door neighbors, figure out, has anybody been in here? What's going on? The crack house on the corner, maybe you don't want to talk to them, but you talk to the neighbors to figure out, hey, who owns this house? Or, do some skip tracing to figure out who owns that. So you want to look for those problem properties, no matter what area you're in. They'll always stick out like a sore thumb. And that's who you really want to talk to.
Yeah, you're looking at it, some signs that the property is vacant. Like there's mail like overflowing out of the mailbox. That's one of the sign. There's overgrown weeds, overgrown driveway, things like that. There's a for rent sign. If there's a for rent sign, that means that landlord he doesn't have a tenant in there right now, so he might be in a stress situation that he needs to sell that. So that's something you can look at as well. Yep. Just kind of keeping those things in mind and things. So. I mentioned a little bit ago that, part of those, so basically we know the type of person that maybe you're going to be working with. We know the type of property that we're maybe going to be working with. So how do you go about, marketing those people and, try to get in touch with those people to figure out, hey, can I buy your house? Can I do this? Can I do that? So let's kind of get into a little bit of the marketing strategies. There are just a ton of different marketing strategies. I think we've tried darn near everything. There's some that are a little sketchy that I don't want to try or things like that, but whatever works for you. So let's kind of get into so just some things that we're currently doing. We currently have a television ad on the TV, a commercial. There's radio ads. There is text blasting. There's direct mail. There's pay-per-click ads. There's Google ads. There's Facebook ads. Kind of all those types of things. There's SEO, so where you have like certain keywords that are on your website that'll pop up and draw people there. Using the Driving for Dollars, one of our favorite apps, the Deal Machine app, being able to use
the promo code SIMPLE. The promo code SIMPLE. Get your free credits.
There you go. You get 30 free credits. You can get 30 mailers to send out. You can get 30 skip traces. So use the code SIMPLE if you're getting through Deal Machine. So I love those guys. And then there's some other things. There's some things that I'm missing, Ronnie. So there's ringless voicemail. What's that?
Bandit signs, seeing a lot of bandit signs right now, and they are really hitting home. So bandit signs are really big. Some people are using billboards, even just, depending on what restaurant you go to, they might have a little business advertisement. They're putting up these little flyers, right there on the little business board and things like that. So, and then also don't just networking, telling more people about what you do, even on your own social media, is really, really important, because you just never know who's paying attention. So your Instagram stories, your Facebook stories, whatever it is, just you really want to just market, and that is just telling people about what services you can do, what you can offer. Use it all.
Yeah. Was that a shot at me because you're trying to get on me about you doing my Instagram and my Facebook stories, Ronnie?
I'm not. I plead the fifth.
No, it's funny. You're talking about networking. It's so very true. Of like, I still have not come across somebody that like doesn't know somebody connected to somebody that's in real estate in some way. Everybody knows, whether it's a realtor or their uncle has rental properties or something. Everybody knows somebody that's connected in real estate. So if you're talking about it, you're going to be able to strike up a conversation, and it's gonna lead to things. Whether it's going to end to somebody that is a buyer, somebody that's looking for properties, or somebody that's selling properties, one or the other, is those types of things. So, all right. So we talked a little bit about just as we're wrapping up here, basically like, hey, what do you do as a real estate wholesaler? Kind of get into that, and then how do you do it? So we've talked a little bit about the types of persons you're going to be getting the sellers that you're going to get the properties under contract from. Talk about the type of properties you're going to do. A little bit on the marketing of how to do those. That's a whole other, and we will get into marketing on one of these webinar Wednesday. Just a big long thing. We give you some of our stress stories, our success stories, mistakes we've made, all those types of things, some case studies of what we've done with those. So that's another webinar we have planned in the future. So the next kind of thing is I want to know, like, so who are we going to be selling these properties to? So basically what we're doing is we're talking to these sellers, we're finding these properties, talking to the sellers, getting the property under contract, you can use the 7-page purchase agreement, 8-page purchase agreement, a 1-page purchase agreement. You can find some good resources out there for free online. You can go to a title company and order a package, go sit down with them, look at the contract and stuff. That's a whole other, I'm going to actually put a plug in here. So this month's meetup, which is August 26th, 6 o'clock, we'll be going live. I'm going to be on there with 3 title company specialists from the Indianapolis area, talking about just title contracts, working on title companies, those types of things. So just a little plug in for our meetup on August 26th at 6 o'clock. Definitely join us for that one. That's a big one. That's a great one. A lot of information there that we'll be doing. So you get that property under contract. Now, who are you going to basically be able to sell that property to? So Ronnie, when we're talking about, hey, on the other end, and Ronnie's the master of that kind of that sales side, but then when we're looking at that buy side, that's Randy's domain on our team and stuff like that. But so Ronnie, when we're talking about who you're selling those properties to, what types of people are we looking to basically sell those contracts to?
Depending on the neighborhood, I mean, you're looking for flippers. So if you see some new construction going on, or, somebody doing a rehab, you're talking to the construction worker, hey, who actually, is overseeing this? You want to network with the people to figure out, okay, well, flipper, you want to get to a flipper. And maybe you see some, landlord signs saying, rent. You call in that sign, figure out, well, are you looking for some more properties, to add to your portfolio? So those are people looking for, you really want to get involved into the Facebook groups as well. There are a lot of different investors from all over the world that are coming in, looking to buy properties. There are newbies to real estate investing. Maybe maybe you live in Kansas City, and someone wants to get involved in real estate investing in Kansas City because they like the Kansas City Chiefs. So you're just looking for someone that really has the money to be able to buy and hold, fix and flip. And sometimes, depending on what's going on, you might be able to find someone that actually just wants to live in a house and sell or finance, depending on what's going on. So there are a lot of different people that are looking to get a house and acquire it. But that's what you're looking for. You're looking for people that want to buy it for long term.
Yeah, so those are the 2 big ones. Looking for people that are looking to flip the property, or they're gonna buy it to hold it. Maybe they're gonna buy it to burr it out and stuff like that. So who are some of the people that you can connect with, or that? So one of the people are the people that are actually doing those things, for their companies and stuff like that. But then you're also looking at like property managers. So property managers always have investors that they're looking for properties for people to buy and hold. That's part of their, part of what they want to be doing to help their investors out. So those are good people to connect with. Also, there's another avenue too of people that want to do the owner financing model. So maybe they want to buy a property to be able to sell it on note. On a note mortgage or a land contract or a lease option or just any of those things. So that's another option. You could also look at people who you're going to sell your property to. So a lot of different strategies. Then there's also the good old, hey, maybe it's a good enough property that you can, if somebody else, maybe it's in good shape, maybe they couldn't, sell it on the market or whatever, but maybe you can. Maybe you can get tied up with a realtor. Maybe you are a realtor yourself. You can go ahead and maybe sell that property on the market because the other person don't want to spend the time to do that, and you can do that or whatever. So you have more experience with that, whatever it may be. So that's always an option as well. Of how do we want to do this? How do we want to get it out there? How do we want to sell those properties and stuff? So that's kind of, soup to nuts of kind of just a brief summary of, hey, this is what we do. This is our everyday. We're in it. There's a lot of things that we can get into. Like I said, there's the marketing piece. There's a contract and title piece. There is the analyzing the deal piece and stuff like that. We've done bits and pieces of all this, and these are some future webinars that we're getting into. But Ronnie and we have about 6 minutes left in our last little time here. Let's to sum it up in a bow, or just sum it up and put a bow on it, I should say. What's some of that, maybe a last piece of advice for somebody that's kind of like, hey, I like, Ronnie seems that, he has 6 kids. He's living a good life. He seems like he's liking what he's doing. He's enjoying it. He doesn't seem stressed out all the time. So what's some advice that you have for that person that's maybe thinking about, they've heard about real estate wholesaling. They it seems it's not easy. I'll tell you that right now. It's not easy. It is a grind. It's simple, but it's not easy. So what's some advice that you have for that person that's maybe looking to get into it, and just kind of helping them to kind of push them in that direction if they're serious about it?
If I could put it on a big screen, I would scream network. Network, 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 network. Who you network with, and one of our people in our wholesale community said, your network really it tells your network. If you're getting in a room with people that are doing exactly what you want to do, and maybe your skill set isn't there, you literally can learn just by being in the room and being dumb and asking all the right questions and just figuring out how you can help what you're seeing. You want to be a graphic designer, know what you're doing? Get into a room with other graphic designers to figure out what they're doing. Whatever it is, but that's what you really want to do. You want to get in the room with people that are doing real estate investing. And there's so many different aspects of it, whether you want to get into the commercial side or whatever it is, there are so many different avenues that you want to get in, but just get in the room with people, network, ask questions, be a sponge, take notes so that you can remember things, and really just be attentive to that. That's the biggest thing, is network. So, wherever you're in, find a real estate investing group, download the Meetup app, search real estate investing groups, in your search bar on the Facebook app, and just see what's going on in there. Ask questions, be observant, and get involved. The moment you get involved and get engaged, you will begin to just start learning immediately. And also, too, check all the free resources out with us, but then also, too, on YouTube. Study to figure out exactly what's going on here, and just get yourself in a room with other people that are going in that direction.
So awesome. I love it. So my little piece of advice, I would say, for somebody that's kind of thinking about it, it would be to so kind of figure out maybe what you want to do with it. There's some people that kind of can kind of get in this. They're like, hey, I want to do this. I'm going to be, I have that entrepreneurial spirit. I'm going out there. I'm going to do it on my own. I'm going to push and do that. And that's great. And just what Ronnie said, start doing that, start getting in that. If you are not that, maybe you're a little bit more risk adverse. You're kind of don't want to start doing it on your own or something like that. Get connected with somebody else. Ronnie and I are actually great examples of that. We weren't in that position where we went out and did it on our own. What we did is we got teamed up with a company that did it. And that's how we got teamed up with Simple. We're like, hey, that's not me. I'm somebody that's likes to, I can't go out there and just do it on my own. I'm not that entrepreneurial, but I can get involved with a company. I can kind of do it that way. And there's a lot of people that get involved that way. Learn the skills of what you need from someone that's doing it, whether it's maybe you're just shadowing them, you're doing it on your own, you're shadowing them. Maybe it's a partnership. Maybe you're doing some joint ventures. Maybe you do have a thing. Maybe you just go ahead and start working for somebody, and then you can go out and do it on your own. Maybe you can start working for somebody and then end up 3 years later being the CEO of the company. That happens too. So, so you never know what that situation is, but make sure you kind of just don't limit yourself. If you're interested in something, network, ask questions, figure out where you can get plugged in, and figure out what you can do to just kind of figure out what that next step is for you. And I think that's just one thing I always want to put out there. I think so. A lot of times people will think, oh, to be a real estate wholesaler, I got to do it all on my own. I got to make sure that I'm the, I'm the, the king of my own castle, kind of out there do that. You don't necessarily have to. So that's something I like to throw out there too, because there are a lot of success stories. I know a lot of people, whether it's Indy, other markets throughout, that basically by being with somebody else, that kind of paved their way for their career. They learned what they wanted to do, and now they're out there doing it on their own, or they're in leadership positions within those companies and stuff too. So that's something I just want to throw out there with that. So All right, Ronnie, we are out of time, man. So any last word or just encouraging thing? Why don't you put out there just maybe a little phrase or encouragement for some people out there?
My encouragement for you today is go eat ice cream. You need to eat ice cream. It's Wednesday. It's hump day. Go eat some ice cream. That's what you need to go do. I'm going to have some today.
There you go. So what's your flavor, man? What do you go with?
I like a good old classic cookies and cream.
There you go. Very nice. Very nice. So I'm throw this out there. Maybe if you're watching or anything like that, what I want to know is where's the best place in Indy to get like a tall swirl cone? That's what I want. I want the cone that has the chocolate and vanilla on it, and they just stack it up. So they're all over the East Coast and stuff. I can't find it in Indianapolis. So that's what I want to know. Where do you get that? I want it. So that's what we want to put out there today. So if you have any of that, you can let us know what you want us to do on future webinar Wednesdays or anything like that. That's great. But we also want to know where we can get the tall swirl cone here in Indianapolis. So, all right. Take care, guys.